agenda. Some apologies for absence that we have. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Apologies today from Councillors Nicola Matthews and Councillor Mike White.
Thank you. No others. Right, good. Item 2, any disclosures of personal and prejudicial interests? Anyone? No? There are none? No? Thank you. Item 3 is to approve and sign the minutes of the previous meeting as the correct record. That's page 1 and 2. We're on page 1. And page 2. Somebody moves the true record. Thank you, Phil. Any items for withdrawal or deferral?
No, Chair.
There are none. Thank you. Right, when we move on to item 5 is determination of planning applications under the Town and Country Planning Act of 1990. And the first one before us is the item 1 there's on page 6 is the Pill House pigsty. And we've got, is Steve with us?
Chris and Steve.
Yeah, Chris and Steve will be handling this. Over to you, Steve.
Okay, thank you, Chair, and councillors, apologies I can't be there in person to present this item to you. It relates to a listed pigsty at Pill House, near Pill House in Llanmaddock in Gower, reference 2022-0857/LBC on your screen there. And the reason why this application for listed building consent is being reported to Planning Committee is because the council is the applicant. Next slide, please. Sorry, I'm doing that. Sorry. There you go. Okay, so the first slide here, this is the location of this pigsty, which, as you can see, is located near Pill House in the north there. It's adjacent to the Pill, which is one of these inlets on the Lacher estuary, which is over to the right-hand side, which is the east of the site. The pigsty is highlighted there. It's a very small structure, which is why there's the arrow highlighting the location there. And the track, the grey line running from north to south on the screen there, top to bottom, is the route of the Wales Coastal Path in this part of North Gower. And just to say, Pill House itself is not a listed building, but the pigsty is. This is the actual context of the grade 2 listed pigsty. It's described in the CADU description as a beehive pigsty. It's about 2.5 meters high, and it's got a sort of round conical shape, hence the term beehive. And this shows it in its context, with Pill House, the white building in the background there, and the Wales Coastal Path, this track where the photo's been taken from. Closer up a view of the structure, as I said, about 2.5 meters tall, about 2 meters in diameter. And you can see here the opening where the animals would have passed in and out. You can see the beehive shape, and it's actually a very ancient building technique, which is called corbelling, where this stonework goes up to a certain point just above the entrance you can see on the screen there, and then it steps inwards, gradually stepping inwards towards the top, which is that conical shape. And because it's circular, it forms a very robust dome. We think the pigsty dates from around 1800 to about 1850, potentially hasn't been used since about the Second World War period, but it's a very important survival, hence the reason why it's considered to be of national architectural historic interest with the grade 2 designation in 2000 by CADU. There's thought to be about 30 of these pigsties, of these structures, these relic structures left in Wales. There's at least 2 intact in our area, this one in North Gower, another one that's listed near Pontdilais. There's possibly another one unlisted which might now be ruined somewhere down near Pennard in South Gower. One of the best known ones is the one that was reconstructed from near Pontypridd and reconstructed at St Fagans. So that's where most people would have seen one of these structures before. But this one is in its original location alongside the Wales Coastal Path. It may even be more unique because possibly it's thought to be a goose sty, hence because it's by the water in the area, but it's obviously very important. Whatever used to live in it, it would have had a pen around the front, which you can just about see on these walls on the left-hand side here as well. It is privately owned, and the owner is in agreement with grant funding that's been secured by the council, by the Gower National Landscapes team, to repair the structure. It is a listed building at risk, so it needs to be repaired. You can sort of see on the right-hand image here, the top has disappeared and fallen away and the stonework is missing. And gradually over time, the top will become looser and looser until it becomes, sort of an unsavable pile of stones. At the moment, with a relatively small intervention using some of the artisan stone wallers that are based in the Gower area, this can be conserved and repaired using the appropriate vernacular techniques. So whilst it's privately owned, the council secured the grant funding, hence the council is the applicant. And it's mainly just reinstating the stonework on the top that generates the requirement for the listed burning consent, and we know the correct shape it should be. I know this is probably very blurry on your screens, but should give enough of an idea. The pigsty was actually recorded in 1998, so 2 years before it was listed by the Royal Commission based in Aberystwyth, because these are these important rural structures. And we know back then it had much more of a point on the top there, which a lot of this stone probably has just fallen onto the ground and needs to be reinstated. So we know the correct way to reinstate this feature with the application before us. So overall, it's fully supported by the local planning authority. It's welcomed to repair a listed building at risk and to safeguard a very rare agricultural feature located in a very prominent location on the Wales Coastal Path. And for those reasons, approval is recommended, subject to the usual referral to CADU with a range of conditions to control the details. And that's it for me. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Steve. Chris, did you want to add anything?
No, I think Steve's covered everything, so nothing from me at this point. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. And we have a board member with us. Did you want to?
If I'm going to go for pig farming now, I know what I need to build. But I think it's very interesting, to be fair here, and I would support it. No problem. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you for the comments. Anyone? Councillor Downing, then Lewis.
Yes, Chair. When you say we've got a few of these around Wales, how many have we lost? Because if I can remember right, my grandfather had a pigsty similar to this.
Yeah.
And where the pen was, he sort of knocked the pigsty down, used the stones to go down the pen, and he filled it with water, and we had goldfish in it. But I'm saying, but that's the style that he had. You know, and in those days, they never thought of preserving things like that. It was just, if we don't want it, knock it down. Like. Yeah, so it's good that we are preserving. I mean.
Okay, thank you.
Question for Steve it is. I noticed from the pictures that he put up that it looks to me like the original sty was whitewashed, because some of the stones are still retaining some of the whitewash. Is it intended to whitewash the whole thing as it was possibly years ago?
Before we go back to Steve, any other questions? Oh, Alan, then Mark.
Yeah, just one for Steve. I was reading on page 10 that one of the techniques, something to do with packing and snecking. I don't know if I've pronounced that correctly. I was just wondering what on earth is snecking.
Okay.
Good. Get to that, Mark. Then. Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you. I just wondered, I'm happy to support, but I just wondered who's financing the repair work? Is it CADU itself? Thank you.
Oh, my.
No, it's on the property, private owned property. No, we'll be saying, they said he saw pigs used to use it. If these people have got, say, chickens or things, would they be allowed to use that for their livestock? Or would it be totally protected off? Would they have a right, because it's on their land, to use it? Thank you.
Thank you. Steve, any answers for those questions?
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Chair. I think the first question was how many were there in Wales? I really don't know. As I think we heard, there probably lots of farms had structures like these. They were of a kind of a modest, human scale. You could call them very easy to build, very easy to gradually fall down. We do know that 30 are noted to survive by CADU. And I know that they're scattered across all of Wales, so there's probably a couple in each county area or so. And we, as I say, we definitely know we've got 2 in the Swansea area. Very interesting little features of that sort of that traditional situation where most farms and many houses had kept their pigs and not necessarily a farm set up as such. There was a question about whitewashing. This stone is probably limestone, which could have a lighter appearance. Obviously, lime washing itself would have been antibacterial, so probably these pigs' pens would have been lime washed for cleaning reasons. The proposal is not to lime wash it at this stage, would be just to reinstate the stonework. There was a question about packing and snecking. That's a process of traditional vernacular stonework repairs. So it's packing the sort of the joints of the stone, not necessarily covering it all in lime mortar. So the whole, it almost looks like a dry stone structure with those gaps on show. There is mortar in the depths of the joints. And snecking is another word for sort of the small pieces of stone that fill up the joint. So basically it's filling in the gaps with other pieces of stone. So it's all wedged tight and nothing's going anywhere. There was a question about funding. I am aware that the funding's been secured by the Gower National Landscape Team. I'm not sure where that funding's comes from, and obviously that's not something that we would look at as part of a listed burning consent application. The thing that we're seeking to control through this application is the actual works to reinstate the top. And there was a question about, could it be used for other animals? Any alterations, such as putting a chicken coop around this, the structure would need a further consent and probably would be resisted. So this is an interesting agricultural feature next to the coastal path. That's what it would be there for, not to actually be reused. And I think that answers all the questions.
Thank you, Steve. And Mike, you might be able to answer one of them. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mike Scott. I'm the team leader for the countryside team. You asked about the funding. The funding for this is 75% funding from Natural Resources Wales as part of our grant support towards cultural and historic interests on Gower.
Thank you. No one else wishes to speak? Okay, folks. Well, you can see the recommendation there on page 12 is to approve the application. Perhaps we take some. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Mybaker,
For.
Councillor Peter Black,
For.
Councillor Phil Downing,
For.
Councillor Alan Jeffrey,
For.
Councillor Mary Jones, 4, Councillor Mike Lewis,
For.
Councillor Richard Lewis,
For.
Councillor Mark Tribe,
4.
Councillor Andrew Williams,
For.
and Councillor Paul Lloyd.
For.
Unanimous, Chair, all 4.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's unanimous. Okay, we move on to the next item now on page 14. It's the footpaths at Graig y Pal in Gleis. Over to you, Chris, yeah?
Thank you, Chair. I'll just share my screen. Thank you, Chair. As you've just said, this is about a footpath application to add footpaths to the definitive map at Graig y Pal, which is in Gleis. And for context, on the screen, the area we're talking about is this area here that's outlined in red, and it is northeast of the M4 between Clydach and Birchgrove. The recommendation is to refuse the application. It's a bit of an odd one. The evidence is very good, and I'll go into the reasons why we're recommending refusal later on. In lieu of the application to record footpaths, there is an alternative network of bridleways and a footpath which has been offered by the landowner and is supported by the applicant and the witnesses. And this would be dedicated if you agree that with the recommendations. Okay, so the application was to record this network of routes. So they're the red lines on this map. This is a hill overlooking Gleis. This is the edge of Gleis here. The whole hill and other areas around here have planning permission for a solar farm. And that is what triggered the application. because the people in Gleis and elsewhere realised that they would suddenly no longer have access to the paths that they've been using for many years. So the solar farm was granted planning consent by PEDU last December, and the application was submitted with supporting evidence from 35 people claiming to have used the routes between 2001 and 2021. And you can see a summary of the user evidence in the appendix. So that's quite a lot of people. So it's originally quite a good application. But on the 27th of January earlier this year, the applicant wrote to the council to state that they no longer supported their application to claim the paths, which is a bit unusual, but I'll explain why as we go on through the report. And the reason we're coming to committee is because once an application has been made to us for a modification order, there's no mechanism in the legislation to withdraw it, so we have to determine it. So the application would have affected the layout of the proposed solar farm. So what is unusual about this case is that the applicants for the footpaths have got together with the developer and have come to an alternative network which fits in with the what's proposed on the solar farm, and also provides better access in the area. So this is what has been proposed instead of the claimed paths. So this area here, this is the hill where the paths were originally claimed. So as you can see, all these dashed lines are proposed bridleways. So you're getting a similar network of routes, but in addition, there's a link path all the way through to the bridleway, an existing bridleway that crosses the border with Neathport Talbot here. And in addition, the developer has agreed to dedicate a footpath down here, which connects to another existing footpath here, YM2 and YM4. So what was claimed is a network of footpaths about 3.5 kilometres in length, but what the proposed dedications are for is 5.5 kilometres of mostly bridleways. So this is a slightly, so you've got a network that's not only longer, that's proposed to be dedicated, is not only longer, but it also will be available to more than just walkers. Most of it will be available to horse riders and cyclists as well. And I need to point out that if you go back to the previous slide, this path here, A to A1, is on a different landowner's land. So we'll deal with that path at a later date. For the moment, we're just dealing with the paths that are going to be affecting the solar farm itself. Now, a small part of the proposed, the solar farm, which has been given plan permission, is actually in Neathport Talbot, and a section of the bridleway that's proposed to be dedicated is also in Neathport Talbot. That's this section here. Now, it makes it a bit slightly more complicated because we cannot dedicate a right of way in another authority's area. So what we've been doing is discussing the situation with Neathport Talbot Council, and they have agreed to dedicate this section of bridleway to complete the route and this dedication will take place in parallel with the dedications in Swansea. It's also been necessary to agree a very, very, very small section of new bridleway on a neighbouring landowner's land between A and B. It's just 5 metres, but without it, it wouldn't connect to the existing bridleway. So that will also have to be dealt with by Neathport Talbot Council, because again, that's across the boundary. So in conclusion, we received a considerable amount of evidence with the application, and if the witnesses still supported the application, this would be enough for the council to make a modification order to record the claimed routes as public footpaths. However, this is an unusual case where all parties involved have been able to come to an alternative arrangement for a different network of paths, which will provide both superior access for the public and allow the solar farm to be constructed as planned. Both the applicants and developer have approached the situation with a willingness to compromise, and the result has been beneficial for both parties. Should the council decide to make a modification order instead of pursuing the alternative path dedications, there would be insufficient evidence to support the modification order due to the applicant and witnesses withdrawing their support, and therefore the modification order would not be confirmed. The proposed bridleway dedication agreement is therefore the most likely means of securing public access in this area of Gleis and will provide a superior network of paths. And that's all from me, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you. Councillor Rowlands, are you with us? I can see you.
I am, yes. Thank you,
I can
Chair.
see you. Thank you. You've got your 5 minutes to address us. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you,
Ward
Chair.
member.
Good afternoon, members of the Planning Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to come here and speak to you today. I'm here regarding the application to modify the definitive map of the rights of way by adding new footpaths. As outlined in the officer's report, the original application no longer has the necessary support for the applicant or key witnesses to proceed. Given this lack of evidence and support, I agree with the recommendation that the modification order be refused. However, I would also like to highlight the positive outcome of this process. Through collaboration between the landowner and the applicant and the witnesses, an alternative and arguably more beneficial solution has been reached. The proposed network of bridleways, along with one footpath, offers greater access for a wider range of users, including walkers, cyclists and horse riders. This dedication not only serves the public interest, but also reflects a constructive and balanced approach between land management and public access. I therefore support the recommendation to refuse the original application and to move forward with the dedication agreement to formalise the improved public right-of-way network, and thank the officer for their work on this matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, any comment, anyone?
Stop.com. Really from me this.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so we've been asked to refuse the application, but then isn't that the end of it? If you can explain why we put in 2 in, you know, we're refusing it, but it's okay to do this. And the other thing I was asking when the map was up, Kimmy, what happens now between A and B? What happens to the 5 metre stretch now? They don't fall off, do they?
Anyone else? No. Oh, Alan.
Yeah, I can answer that, Chair. Oh, sorry.
That's all right, Chris. Thank you. Carry on.
Yeah, so I'll put the map back up. So this is the claimed network of paths. So the path between A and A1 we'll deal with separately. So we're not going to ignore it and forget it. It's still a route that the public have claimed, and there's good evidence for it to be recorded as a public footpath. it is a slightly unusual and complicated case because there's two different parts of, there's more than one way of recording rights of way. So if we were to pursue this network that you can see on the screen, all we'd end up doing is, well, one, it would be quite difficult to prove because all our witnesses have decided that they don't support it anymore. But even if it were recorded, we'd have to proceed with a diversion order to divert it around the solar farm. So basically, what the applicant has done is as Councillor Owen said, is collaborated with the developer so that they've got a really good network of paths, but it won't interfere with the proposed solar farm. So it's I guess it could be a win for both parties because the developer gets what they want, which is a solar farm isn't interfered with the rights of way, and the local people get an enhanced network of paths through the site and beyond the site.
I don't think that really answered the question. So in terms of what is going to be there after this is turned down, A to B is going to be a further application. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes,
So we'll deal.
yes,
So we'll deal with A to. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, yes, it's fine. Okay, I'm just trying to clarify. So A to B will be a further application.
It's
And
A
in
to
terms of-
A1 actually.
A1 to B is going to be a further application, and in terms of the bridleway, which is going to be added in, is that going to be a further application as well, or is that going to be Neath Talbot?
No, so this is the bridleway network again.
Yeah.
What will happen if you agree with the recommendations? We've drafted a dedication agreement, and the council will sign that. The developer will sign it. And all of these rights of way will come into effect when the solar farm is completed.
And will that then be a public right of way?
Yes, so these will all be public bridleways.
And do we need to then have a further resolution to adopt those once that's all been signed?
No, they'll be public highways, and the council will automatically be responsible for them.
Okay, so we turn this down. A1 to B will be a further application, and everything else is sorted by signing documents.
Yeah,
that's great. Thank you.
There you go, Councillor Jeffrey.
Thank you, Chair. I think the question I had in mind has already been answered. I was just concerned about the solar farm and the bridle paths were going through the solar farm. I think, is that right? Is that going to happen?
Well, what's happened is they've come to a compromise. So the original routes that they wanted to claim would have gone through parts of the solar farm and would have interfered with what the developer wanted in terms of the solar farm. So what they've done is they've made room for these routes because you need access routes to the solar farm anyway, and these will follow the proposed access routes to the solar farm and other places where they can fit the paths in amongst the solar panels. So these will actually be fenced because you need to maintain security through a solar farm. So there'll be fences on one side of the path, or in some cases both sides of the path through the solar farm.
Yeah, thanks. That was my next question about the security. I follow it now. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Got no other hands up. Oh, sorry. Oh, Mark, sorry, beg your pardon.
Thank you, Chair. The pockets of land that Neath Talbot have surrendered responsibility for, they've been handed over to Swansea in perpetuity. I get it, is it?
So the boundary, if you can see this map, so that the orange line is the boundary between Neath Talbot and Swansea. So one of the bridleways, F to Z, comes to this point here by the livestock pen, and then it enters Neath Talbot. So what Neath Talbot have agreed to do is dedicate a bridleway on this route to join up with the Bridleway here, where it reappears into Swansea.
Right.
So it'll still be in Neathport Talbot. It'll just be in Neathport Talbot section of Bridleway.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
So that'll be a separate agreement with Neathport Talbot Council.
Okay, thank you very much. Other members wish to speak? No? Okay, we can see on page 14 the two recommendations there. We take a vote on those now then, please.
Councillor Mybaker,
For.
Councillor Peter Black,
4.
Councillor Phil Downing,
For.
Councillor Alan Jeffrey,
4.
Councillor Mary Jones, 4. Councillor Mike Lewis,
For the recommendation.
Councillor Richard Lewis,
Thank you.
Councillor Mark Tribe,
4.
Councillor Andrew Williams,
4.
Councillor Paul Lloyd.
4.
It's unanimous.
It's
all four.
unanimous again. Thank you. Thank you very much. And then move on to the next item on our agenda is the Village Green application in Pennard. And I believe that's yours to handle, Mike. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. You have a report and an application here in front of you to consider. The application was received in autumn last year to declare an area of Pennard Common close to the golf club building as a town or village green. This is part of a lengthy issue that my team have been working with a group of residents and the golf club to try and address the amount of parking that has gone on the common in front of an area of housing, and it's that area that is being sought to register as town or village green. There is some dispute within the community about supporting this application or not. The landowner is the golf club. The discussions that we've had to date have gone on for 2 or 3 years. We haven't managed to find another solution. The applicants would like to see car parking on that area of the common, which they're claiming is a village green, stopped. The golf club are of the opinion that it's a necessary part of their operations. They use it as an overflow car park. It also gets used unofficially, despite signage from the golf club, from other visitors who use it to park there. We have had a number of responses to the application. Those are all listed in the report here. We also have a legal opinion, which the council has sought. That opinion is given in the report, and although it's not, no, it is not clear whether registering the area of land as a town or village green will actually prevent car parking there, particularly as the landowner appears to be keen to continue using it as a car park. That isn't the issue being addressed at the moment. The issue at the moment is the application to declare this area of Pennard Common as a town or village green. And as I mentioned earlier, there is legal opinion in the report which gives you guidance. It has, as I say, been a lengthy, long-running issue, but I will not speak to that because it could take quite a long time, unless you have further questions. Chair?
Thank you very much. Did you want? Yeah, thank you. I'll say something.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'd just like to draw attention to members, really. This application comes down to section 15(2) of the Commons Act to 2006 on page 45 of your report. Basically, the application's has got to meet all these tests that are mentioned on page 45 and 46. So we've taken this legal advice, as my colleague has said, and this is number of tests to be considered. A significant number of the inhabitants of any locality indulged in lawful sports and pastimes on the land for a period of at least 20 years as of right. The main issue that the legal specialist has pointed out to is the as of right. So this is the main legal issue for you to consider, is that persons are able to access the land through the footpath which is on the site. So that is a statutory right. And the same for the lawful sports and pastimes, which likely have been used on the land for the period. But again, this would be a statutory permission under the Countryside Rights of Way Act. So the legal opinion is that the application would fail on this point. So it's just I'd just like to draw this attention to members to consider when they come for debating later.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that advice. Okay, good. Yeah, Mr. Rees now would like to address the committee. You've got your 5 minutes, Mr. Rees. Thank you.
Thank you. I am Dr. Andy Rees, OBE, resident of one of the properties that adjoin Pennard Green. I have a degree and PhD in environmental science. I'm a chartered member of 3 professional environmental institutions, and I have 34 years experience variously in the development, interpretation, implementation and enforcement of environmental law. Whilst there are many reasons why it would be morally and environmentally right to agree to the application, I accept that the committee must make the decision based solely on points of law, as pointed out, and nothing else. So that's what I will address now. The key points I will make relate to section 15, subsection 1 and subsection 2 of the Commons Act 2006. I will also cross-reference to the Countryside and Rights of Way, CROW Act 2000. The key test of section 15.2 of the Commons Act is that we have to demonstrate that, firstly, a significant number of the inhabitants of any locality or of any neighbourhood within a locality have indulged as of right in lawful sports and pastimes on the land for a period of at least 20 years, and secondly, that they continue to do so at the time of the application. The inspector expresses her opinion that this 20-year period must be immediately leading up to the date of the application, i.e. from 2004 to 2024. She then states that the CROW Act established a by right recreational use of the green as it is part of Pennard Borough's Commons. Hence, the 20-year as of right test is not satisfied by us. However, in paragraph 18 of the Statement of Objection from Pennard Golf Club, as drafted by Edward Harris solicitor, who incidentally has been involved in many legal cases associated with the Commons on Gower, he states that under section 15 of the Commons Act, it is legitimate to demonstrate recreational use for a continuous 20 years prior to the CROW Act coming into force in 2000. Section 15.2a of the Commons Act requires that a period of 20 years recreational use must be demonstrated, but it does not specify when that 20-year period has to start and finish. Perhaps the inspector has erred in law here. In relation to section 15.2b requirement that the recreational use must continue at the time of the application, the recreational use by right under section 12.4 of the CROW Act is relevant, as pointed out by the inspector. However, equally relevant is the exemption afforded to accepted land in Schedule 1.3 of the CROW Act, and that is namely land within 20 metres of a dwelling where such recreational use of a common is not allowed by right. Very pertinent here is the three crosses Village Green application inspector's report in 2016 that includes a reference to the CROW Act, and I quote, "Although the land might potentially qualify as access land under the CROW Act, it was accepted that the whole of the land, as part of the Registered Commons, is likely to be within 20 metres of a dwelling and therefore would be accepted land under that provision. The Village Green application was approved in that instance." Similarly, a significant part of Pennard Green is within 20 metres of a dwelling and as such is therefore accepted access land, meaning that section 12.4 of the Crow Act is not relevant. This means that the evidence of recreational use on the accepted land over the last 20 years is actually relevant for this application. Our application therefore meets the test of section 15(2)(b of the Commons Act, namely that the requirement that a significant number of inhabitants of any locality or of any neighbourhood within a locality continue to indulge as of right in lawful sports and pastimes on the land at the time of the application. This point was explained in our response to the golf club's submitted objection, but it is not referred to by the inspector. Perhaps she did not read our response. It would seem that the inspector has erred when she states in paragraph 20 of her report that the public have a right to access and use the entire application land for open air recreation under section 2.1 of Crow Act. This is not the case for the area of application land within 20 metres of a dwelling. It is accepted land where there is no automatic right for recreational use. It is therefore our strong contention that there are further matters in law that need addressing by the inspector, and we request that the committee defer making a decision until a future meeting when they can receive further advice from the inspector on the points of law I have just made. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Councillor Black?
It's a technical question. Would the lawyer, in plain English, explain the difference between by right and as of right, please?
Apologies. If you give me a couple of minutes, I'll try and come back to a short summary on that. Okay.
I'm hoping I'm framing this question correctly. If we approve it, what disbenefit is it to the golf club or whatever the objection, to the objectioners then?
Oh, Chair. Thank you, Chair. I'll just hand it over to my colleague, Kevin O'Carroll, who's given some advice on this matter, and he'll add to answer your question, Councillor Black. That's okay? Thank you. Kevin on the line. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The difference between by right and as of right is obviously use without force, without secrecy, and without permission. If something is by right, then it is with permission or with stealth, or so it's the opposite of as of right, basically. So in this case, the inspector has considered the evidence and considered that the use has been as of right, sorry, by right, because there has been a statutory permission under the Countryside and Rights of Way Act 2000.
Understood? It is in the report as well, it's mentioned. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Couple of wet nights last week and read it through. Thank you. And there was, sorry, Councillor Lewis.
Oh.
Yeah,
You go first?
go on then. Go on then.
I've asked my question about the disbenefit to the golf club. If we approve it, what is, is the disbenefit to the community and the golf club? Because obviously the applicants want it. What about the people that don't want it? What difference is it going to make to their lives?
To me, it seems like a bit of a legal impasse here, with the learned gentleman from the public supporting it on one point of law, and our team actually saying the exact opposite. So until we can get a resolution, I feel I can't make a determination.
So Lewis?
I'm just wondering, sorry, I'm just wondering, Edward Harris is my solicitor. So I'm not sure where I stand on that.
Is he a personal friend?
He's a very good friend.
I think we've just declared interest.
You should declare, probably, councillor, to declare their personal interest then, but obviously it's a matter for
Okay,
you.
well, that's fine. As long as I know, because I've known Edward a long, long time, and he's done a lot of work for me.
Yeah.
Can I just do a follow-up to Mary's question? I mean, this is currently common land, and we're being asked to register as a village green. So it would then cease to be common land if it became a village green. Is that the case?
The rights of common would transfer then, if it was a village green, those same rights. It wouldn't be a common, but those rights would then form part of the village green designation.
Right, so you still be able to graze sheep and stuff on it. It's just as you would a common land. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So all we're doing. So how is the status slightly different? Because the village green is the Commons Act. It's under the Commons Act. It says here. So how is the status different between common land and a village green?
There's a short answer to that, really, to be honest. I think, well, I'm not answering your question, whether it might be an idea for members, obviously would have to decide whether to defer this for, because of the extra legal points that have been raised, whether, because we would need to take.
Yeah. Okay.
We wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to give an answer to the other legal points the object or the applicant has made. So we would need to take further. Like if members considered that those points needed considering, then we would need to defer the application, or would be my recommendation to members.
Yeah, okay.
Just to help you out and move deferment.
Okay. Yeah. Just to get it clear, what we've been asked to do is whether we're accepting the inspector's report. Yeah, you make sure you're aware of that. And because he or she is saying is to dismiss the application, but you're moving to defer it. Yeah. Is there a second?
It's very complicated.
Because the legal points to be raised.
Yeah. So you're willing.
I'm happy to support that. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm guessing further answers on clarification on the difference between common and plain.
Sorry,
yes, we can do that at the same time then.
Yeah.
And
then bring it back.
Yeah, and my disbenefit. Why?
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing I want to know, Jonathan, is if we did approve this application for a village green, would the land then be transferred from the ownership of the golf club, or would the golf club still legally own the land?
They'd still own it, yes. This is just be the designation. It wouldn't change ownership, no.
Thank you.
Okay, then. So we take a vote on deferring this application recommendation.
Okay. Councillor Maybaker?
Defer for recommendations.
Councillor Peter Black?
Yeah, for deferment.
Councillor Phil Downing?
For.
Councillor Alan Jeffrey?
For.
Councillor Mary Jones?
For.
Councillor Mike Lewis?
For deferment.
Councillor Richard Lewis?
For.
Councillor Mark Tribe,
Against.
Councillor Andrew Williams,
For.
Councillor Paul Lloyd. So
And for.
that's 9 for deferment, 1 against.
One against. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. This item's just been brought for your information. It relates to an application for development of national significance, a solar farm in Pontllew. The inspector appointed by the Welsh Ministers considered all the issues and the application was approved. The inspector's decision letter is attached to the report, so it's just been brought so that you're aware of the decision made by the Welsh Ministers. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Ian. Okay. Sorry, Councillor Downer.
Yeah, it did mention the withdrawal of a planning application, which is just in front or behind this this solar farm. Would that make any difference to it? Because that's been withdrawn now, so you can't use that planning application.
A withdrawn application would have no status now, so it wouldn't impact on this development. It would have to be a separate application, and if another application came in, we would assess whether there were any impacts as part of any future application.
There we are.
Anyone else? No, no questions. Thank you, Ian. Thank you very much. And that concludes our meeting, and we'll be back early August. Thank you.